Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by faculty Sushma Kirti. So what is the topic that we will be discussing today? Strait of Hormuz and Strait of Malacca. Which strait controls the world's energy and which strait controls the world trade? This is what we will be discussing. The first and foremost question, why? Why are we discussing now as to which trade controls energy, which trade controls your trade? See, first and foremost, your USA and its ally Israel have attacked Iran. Yes, this has been now entering into the second week. Now, the question that comes to be asked is, time and again, your US President Donald Trump has held few things. He has warned Iran that if they lead to any closures or if they disrupt any shipping in your Strait of Hormuz region, then death, fury, and all sort of war in unimaginable limits will be imposed on them. And at the same point of time, one more important thing you have to understand is the same USA which was criticizing India for purchasing Russian oil, and so much so that they even accused India of funding your Iran, your Russia and Ukraine war by purchasing their oil, now have given a waiver to us for a 30 days to purchase Russian oil from them because of the conflict that is happening in Strait of Hormuz. What exactly is the strategic importance of these regions is what we will be getting to know in this video. First and foremost, understand one thing, your Strait of Hormuz is your global energy corridor. Understanding why, what, etc. of the facts we will see later. Your Strait of Malacca is the trade corridor. Now, when I tell global energy corridor or global trade corridor, it is for a sheer fact that the volume and the intensity of trade that passes through these regions. So much so that your Strait of Hormuz carries almost roughly 20% of global oil supply. Your Strait of Malacca roughly approximates around 25% of commercial trade through this. Understanding? Now, given the importance of your Strait of Hormuz right now in whatever is happening, we are seeing it as a maritime global choke point. Iran is trying to use its leverage of its proximity to your Strait of Hormuz as a energy choke point. Now, because we are seeing this about your maritime choke points, another view that we have to do look at is your Strait of Malacca, which is also a maritime choke point. How we will be seeing it throughout the course of the video. Now, I kept using the word maritime choke point. What is this term maritime choke point? See, first and foremost, maritime choke point. Choke means what you can hold like this, yes, and it will disrupt the normal flow. So, a narrow sea passage, okay, this is not too big. Understanding, I will show you the image of your Strait of Hormuz. You will understand it is very narrow, it just has few kilometers of width, that's it. But this is so important is because the amount and volume it can pass through and the depth it has. Understanding? So much so that it has narrow sea route, it has high shipping density, and also any small change or any geopolitical pressure is put on this particular area, it creates a geopolitical vulnerability like what we are facing with your Strait of Hormuz now. Because of this, India ka LPG concerns, India ka fuel concerns is all threatened. Government is taking adequate steps where it is limiting your industrial flow, but it is making sure domestic flow to your LPGs are the first priority. But do you see the vulnerability of this particular region? Now, the next question will come is, Strait of Hormuz, can it be called world's energy lifeline, or is it too much of an exaggeration? See, first and foremost, when we have to speak about your Strait of Hormuz, Now, if you see in the top 5 economies, India is one of the top 5 economies which is still largely energy hungry, and majority of its energy needs is imported from other countries. One such is your West Asian countries. The flow from West Asian country to India is through your Strait of Hormuz. First thing. Second most important thing, if we do consider now, for example, if you see the most two populous countries on the planet is India and China. Both are energy hungry. Now, for your China, 90% of its imports are coming from your West Asia. Largely, it is the largest buyer of your Iranian crude oil. Understanding? So, it becomes extremely important about how critical your Strait of Hormuz is. The Strait of Hormuz is not important just for your purchasing or importing countries, but also exporting countries. Exporting countries here are not just your Iran, your Saudi, UAE, Oman, Kuwait, all these countries. Now, many of these countries' lifeline is dependent on your export of crude oil only. Understanding? So, where exactly is your Strait of Hormuz? In the north side, okay? Your Strait of Hormuz is with Iran. The southern side is Oman and UAE, and this is the entry and exit for your Persian Gulf. Overall, if you see, the Hormuz Strait is hardly just 50 kilometers in width and 33 kilometers narrow navigable part, but yet it is so deep that it can handle huge amount of traffic and cargo. Your Strait of Hormuz connects Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman and Arabian Sea, and it also handles world's largest super oil tankers. Now, just to see from a monetary perspective, now the word I used here, okay? Now, world's energy lifeline. Just to see the aspect of it, let's see the economic perspective. Per day, 20 million barrels pass through this. That is equivalent to an amount of 600 billion annual energy trade. Understanding, almost roughly 20% of the world's oil consumption is through this. Who are the major oil exporters from this region, your Persian Gulf or your West Asia? Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, Iran. Understanding? Now, which countries are specifically dependent on your Hormuz oil? Why we are telling Hormuz oil? Oil which is passing through your Strait of Hormuz. First and foremost, China is the number one importer. 90% of its energy needs are met through this. Second is India, and third will be your Japan. India's crude oil, almost 40% of it is met from here. Now look at this. This is very important for you to know. This is your Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, Arabian Sea. All three are connected by this narrow strip, this U bend. Can you see here? This, look at this, this junction. This is your Strait of Hormuz. North side is your Iran. Understanding? So, who and all will be using this? Your UAE, Oman, Kuwait. Understanding? Iran. So, this is a very important, look at this U bend. This is why we are calling it as your maritime chokehold. It is just this much, but it can travel and it can hold your global shipping. Understanding? Now, see, first and foremost, even your Persian Gulf countries do identify the importance and also the chokehold it poses with respect to geopolitical tensions. Strait of Hormuz, whenever there has been war, these countries have faced adequate disruptions. So, is there any alternative to this Strait of Hormuz? Your Saudi has created its own pipeline, which is 1,200 kilometers in length, where it can pass almost 5 million barrels per day. It runs to your Red Sea coast. Your UAE also has a pipeline which connects oil fields to Fujairah port. Again, it has a capacity of 1.5 million barrels per day. It entirely bypasses Hormuz. So together, put together, like your Saudi pipeline and UAE pipeline, hardly 5 million. Here it is 1.5 million. So 6.5 million barrels. But this is combinedly put together also not equivalent to how much it passes through the Strait of Hormuz, which is 20 million barrels per day. So, jointly also it cannot overtake or even equalize how much your Strait of Hormuz is going through. Understanding? So now we know why your World Energy Lifeline tag is given to your Strait of Hormuz. Now let's come to your Strait of Malacca, which is a global trade highway. See, largely Strait of Hormuz is your oil and energy, means your Strait of Malacca is both oil plus your trade, that is commercial shipping. One more important thing about your Strait of Malacca is this is one important junction which connects your Indian Ocean and your Pacific, that is, it is the Indo-Pacific region. Also, this is one particular region that connects your West Asian imports or your West Asian products, African products to the Southeast Asian market. Understanding? Where is it? On the north side, it is having with respect to three countries which are bordering it: Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. The shortest sea route between West Asia and East Asia is your Strait of Malacca. It has roughly 25% of world's trade. It connects Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean, and your South China Sea. It passes through almost your 23 million barrels oil per day. Again, here, if you have to do the movement, understanding? Like, for example, I told you China ka oil from your Strait of Hormuz passes through this way. So, what and all is passing from your east? Oil from West Asia, oil from Africa, and it will head to your East Asian economies. Also, what is going from the west side? Okay, it is two-way traffic here. Unlike your Strait of Hormuz, here manufactured goods from East Asia, electronics, machinery, things which will go to your Europe, America. So if you see the stretch as to where your Strait of Malacca is, it is here. But if you see it in here, this stretch is Strait of Malacca. Understanding? So this is another global maritime choke point. What are the strategic issues that we see in Malacca? Malacca is now not in any warfare. Hormuz we saw. It is one of the busiest lanes. There is high risk of collisions because of the sheer amount of magnitude of traffic it handles. Another thing is constantly it has been your attacks of piracy, territorial disputes, smuggling. All this happens very broadly here. So much so that your China has even coined the term as Malacca dilemma. What is it? Means simple. See, I told you majority of your oil from Strait of Hormuz goes to China through your Strait of Malacca. If any single blockade is done on this, then it would disrupt the entire oil shipping. Understanding? This is why your China also wants to develop your alternate routes. See, this is your Strait of Malacca. Do you see that narrow aspect that we say when we are going to call something as a maritime chokehold? Now, this being said, like how we discussed with Strait of Hormuz, is there any alternatives for this? Yes, we can go with respect to your Java, Sunda Strait, okay? But the issue is here, it has issues such as your longer route, which adds to the travel, which adds to the cost, and which will also have longer delays. So, which makes Strait of Malacca your preferred destination. This is your Sunda Strait, the alternative that we kept speaking about. Now, from Indian perspective, your Strait of Hormuz is extremely important. Why? Because our security, the let's say energy hungry country, almost imports 40% of its crude oil, 60% of its LNG, especially from your Qatar. Saudi say we take crude oil, Iraq say we take crude oil, and also 80 to 85% of LPG imports are coming from there. Like I discussed, yes, now there is this scenario where we are trying to deal with trying to produce or trying to make sure the ease or flow of LPGs are not cut down. Now, with respect to Strait of Malacca, what is India's perspective? See, yes, roughly 30% of India's trade passes through this, and also this particular area has started gaining a traction for geopolitical importance also, your Indo-Pacific region. At the same point of time, India's strategic island of Andaman Nicobar has been trying to, because of the strategic location of your Andaman and Nicobar, we can monitor the ships which are entering Malacca. So in 2024, India's Great Nicobar project has been approved, where we can make it into an international container transshipment terminal. If we do so, then we can become a shipping hub like your Singapore and Colombo ports. And this gives us a strategic importance is because of our control near the 6-degree channel. Okay, so this makes it important for India from both the straits of Hormuz and Malacca perspective. Now, because from UPSC perspective, we will see, are there any other global choke points? Suez Canal with respect to your Egypt, Panama Canal is your Panama, Bab el Mandeb in your Djibouti region, and Strait of Gibraltar in your Spain. Okay, so as a conclusion, we know now the straits, either your Strait of Hormuz or Strait of Malacca, are indispensable. Why? Mainly because of your Hormuz being energy corridor, and your Iran now issue escalates the importance of how one can use this region as a choke point to control the global oil. Understanding? Malacca is your trade corridor, which both these similarities, they have high trade or high energy from this particular region. Okay, with this, we come to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share it along with your friends. Thank you.